Welcome to You're On in 5, The Art of Understudying.
The only podcast to celebrate the work of actors in understudy roles.
Understudying demands tons of preparation with minimal rehearsal.
Or sometimes none at all.
But it can end in triumphant glory.
In these conversations, we will amplify the diverse voices of actors who have understudied. We want to hear about the actor's technique, experience, and journey.
As well as whatever's on our mind that day.
Hi, I'm Scott Sava. I'm an actor, teaching artist, acting coach, podcast host, and all-around creative dude. You might know me from the Abby Hoffman Died for Our Sins festival that I performed in a few times. One with Nothing Special Productions called Mad Vampires, where we said bleh a lot.
I'm sorry, I missed that. I'm Elana Elise. I'm an actor, and I also am a really good friend to people. And you might know me from Martian Chronicles in 2008 with Lincoln Square Theater. It was my very first play, non-sketch show in Chicago. And today we have Ms. Jennifer Glasse, who you might know from everything you've ever seen in Chicago and Wolf Play at the Gift Theater. Welcome, Jennifer. So nice to have you.
Thank you. So happy to be here. I think this might be my first for real podcast.
Really?
Yes, good.
That's exciting. That means you're going to tell everybody you've ever met to listen.
I'm going to act like an influencer.
Yeah, you
like,
are.
Hey guys, I just popped on to be like, go.
I can't wait.
We got the exclusive with Jennifer Glasse.
Woo, woo. Oh my gosh. So Jennifer, the way we start is, what was your very first understudy gig?
So my very first understudy gig was, I had to go back and look. It was in 2012. I understudied the North Plan at Theatre Wit, directed by the amazing Kimberly Senior.
Nice. And what was that like for you?
That was because I had to it was actually fun getting ready for this because I had to prepare and what are because I understudied so much. And that one, so I have a bunch of roles understudy gigs where it was in my contract that I already knew I was going to go on. And then I have other ones where it wasn't the contract and I don't think I did go on. This one, I knew, I think from the beginning, I was taking over the role, I think the last weekend or something, or 2 weekends. So yeah, it was fun because it was a couple years after I had done school at Steppenwolf and it was I don't know what I'm doing. Nothing is right. Why? Nothing is working. And so I just remember it was a lot of fun to be in the room. I actually I don't know if I was a placement understudy. I think I came in late, actually, now that I think about it. But I just remember immediately jumping in and being okay, I'm doing this and this and this, and talking to the cast, and everything was really, really quick. Yeah, I may have come in late. Yeah. I may have replaced an understudy.
Wow.
What was I'm not familiar with that play. What's that play about?
It's this small town and something happens where everyone's there's a insurrection in a way. As I think about it now, in this small town at this kind of Mayberry police station, and this woman gets brought in. And I think she ends up staging kind of this coup with another inmate. And my character, she basically has to kind of save the day. Because I remember I had to learn how to use a gun. There's a gun involved. There's that. So I was really doing something.
Yes, badass.
And that was your first time shooting a gun on stage?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's fun.
Yeah.
First time. Have you shot a gun on stage since, Madam Badass?
Or
I
off
want to
stage?
know about all these roles.
I don't think I have. I've been in shows with Hangman. There was I had to react to gunshots. But I don't think I have had to shoot a gun since
Yeah.
North
Okay.
Plan.
I've been shot at
Oh yeah.
on the stage. Even though I grew up in Detroit, it was only on the stage.
I was like, why
I
was
was
it?
actually shot at.
It's like,
Okay? Like, let's everybody relax.
do I have to preface now? Like, I've only shot it on stage.
I
From the
mean,
West
only
Side.
because Scott was like, or off stage. Like,
Hey, I don't know if y'all are packing heat. I don't know.
I don't like to talk about it.
Alana packs heat in her arms.
What?
That's true.
Hello.
Alana, remember?
We're at the gun show right now.
Gosh, yes, I remember. Jennifer tried to pinch me once when I was at the height of my body, rebuilding game, and there was no fat for her to pinch, which I was just in my own little world. I wasn't all like, I wasn't flexing or anything. She just tried to pinch me and couldn't.
I was so confused. Like, my fingers just kept like dabbing on each other.
I was like, oh, that is pretty impressive. Do it again, Anyway,
Nobody fat.
They're
That's
a little bit. There's some fat on there, and I haven't been as a top of my game as I was at that time.
Whatever.
Pandemic.
Yeah, totally.
I think I've only ever shot a gun once on stage, and that was for I did the Pillow Man in college, and I got to be the one shooting Katerian at the end.
Okay.
Which is so badass. Because okay, this is totally spoiling the play, but he's counting down from 10, and I think he shoots at like 6.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Yeah.
ooh. I loved that moment so much. Just playing that moment, just being like, counting it down, and then like bang, and the audience is just like.
The gift, we just did it. We did it actually right. We did it like right before the world shut down, like literally. And I hadn't seen Pillow Man, and I didn't want to know anything about it. I was just like, I'm just coming, and I'm right in the front row, and I was just like, what? That's just okay.
Yeah.
I was just.
Wow, I've not seen that.
Oh, it's pretty good.
You guys just spoiled it for me. Thanks.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
But I think that show had Martell Manning, who M. Joy gave props to, and Jay Worthington, who I went to college with too.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, he's a good
cool.
guy. I like him. Yeah, I love that play. I love it. But let's get back to talking about your plays. So you had that first gig. And you've done many, many, many understudies since then. What would you say was like the toughest one? Like, what was the biggest challenge you had?
And it's funny, the reason why I don't remember a lot about North Plan is because the next one blocked everything out, and I kind of don't remember. It's the one that apparently Elana talks about a lot. So that was 2012. Then in 2013, I understudied 6 roles at the same time at court because they were doing Moliere and Rep. So they were doing Misanthrope and Tartuffe, and they had just a plethora of male understudies. Like, they just had like 1 or 2 tracks, but they decided apparently I'm every woman, and there was only one. I was the only female understudy, and so I was literally I had to memorize 6 tracks at the same time of Moliere, and I had no experience in Moliere before that. Like, the casting director told me, like, from the beginning, he's like, well, you'll have to do this all at the same time. And I was like, okay, all right, I'm gonna do this. And like, after this, I'll be invincible or I'll die. So, but it was insane. It literally, like, while they were rehearsing, I think Misanthrope was first. So while the like principal cast was rehearsing that, the understudies, we were also rehearsing Misanthrope. But then as soon as Misanthrope went into performances, then we started understudy rehearsals for Misanthrope while they started rehearsals for Tartuffe. And at one point, literally, like, I just remember like I had to have scenes with myself, and I had to we had a lot of people, a lot of the guys, everybody went on except me. Um and so there was like put-ins, there was these early put-ins from the beginning. Like basically I had to be off book within like a few weeks because we had like emergency put-ins or planned put-ins. I don't remember what your original question was, Scott. Like whether that was the hardest or whatever. Because
Biggest
Yeah.
challenge, yeah.
yeah, that was the biggest challenge.
I'd like to offer this PSA right quick. As a function of this particular podcast, dear decision makers, what you just heard is wrong. And we'd like to ask you to consider never doing that to an individual again. Thank you. Okay, back to you. I just, I wanted to be clear about.
Now, okay, so there were 2 plays,
Mm-hmm.
6 roles.
Mm-hmm.
Were you understudying 6 separate actors, or
No,
were they like
3.
they kind of overlapped? Okay, I see.
Because it was in rep, so they
Yeah.
were. It was the same cast for 2 shows.
Yeah.
But yeah, each show I was understudying the lead. I actually understudied. I was like, who did I? Because I don't even always remember because there were so many people. But I remember I understudied Grace Byers was the lead in Misanthrope, and like she just was so like thinking about like how the process went. She was really helpful in that insane process. But no, but yeah, so I had a lead, like a supporting role that also was humongous, and then the third role, like I don't want to say it was it's not smaller, but as far as lines, I'm talking
Yeah.
about like track wise.
Yeah.
Probably like The Maid or something.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
And so the same thing for Misanthrope and then Tartuffe. So it wasn't 6 different actors, but they each had 2 tracks.
Yeah.
I had 3 actors, they each had 2 tracks.
I mean, so look at you alive, which means you're invincible.
Yeah.
You did it. So that was 2012 and 2013, and you continue to understudy after this thing.
Mm-hmm.
Did you go a long time only understudying, or did you also have some principal roles in between these understudy gigs?
So 2012 was North Plan. 2013, I understudied 3 shows in a row, technically 4. I don't know how to count it in a row at court because I did Misanthrope, Tartuffe, and like I'm a very ensemble type of person. Like I don't like attention. I don't like talking about like myself. So this is gonna be real interesting. But because of the work that I did as an understudy in Misanthrope and Tartuffe, I was asked to come on and understudy the Mountaintop, and Mountaintop was only a 2-person show, and so like I kind of forgot about that. So it's like I went from 6 roles to half of the play, like literally half of the show, and so after that, I actually got asked to understudy the next show, and I was like, no, actually no, I'm gonna go be on stage, and I did Saturday night, Sunday morning.
Yeah, that was gonna be. I was going through your shows trying to decide what I was gonna say. You might know me from. That's the one I was like looking for. I didn't remember the name of it, but that was a really great role. I'm glad. Aren't you so glad you were like no more understudying here, buddy? That's really remarkable. And I was gonna ask how you felt about being asked consecutive times to understudy.
Yeah. So my first show working with court was in 2013, understudying. However, I have been trying to forge a relationship with court since I think 2008. Because 2008 was when I was done with like professional grad school program. When Act One was still around, they had this 2-year conservatory, and we were there 40 hours a week. So I was like, I don't have the degree, but I got the scars.
Bless you.
So in 2008 was when like I feel like that's when I was done with undergrad and in school and stuff. And one of the first shows I saw was at court, and I saw Sizwe Banzi is Dead. I remember seeing that show, and I was like, oh, okay, and I want to work here. So I started like emailing the casting director and being like, can I do generals? I think I got into generals, didn't get cast anything that season. I was like, do you need a reader? So actually, I don't even know if he right away. Yes, he did. So, but even that, it was a couple years. Basically, from 2008 to 2013, I literally be like, I'm doing this, I'm taking this class, or I'm doing this, blah blah blah. Like, do you need anything? And just like forging that. Like, I don't like
Mm.
calling it, like networking. Like, I feel like acting and theater is about relationships. I was just trying to like cultivate this relationship. And then I think probably around 2012 or maybe the 2013 season, the casting director Court at the time started asking me to be a reader. And I was like, okay, cool. And then from there, because I don't even know if I asked to understudy. I think he asked if I would be interested. And then it had the whole caveat of like, but it's going to be insane. And I was like, okay. And that was another reason too, because like I've been trying to get in Court's door since 2008. So I also was like, all right, I'll do this.
Mhm.
Yeah, but so it was great the first two shows, and even the third show was good because Ronald J. Parson was directing it. So I was like, oh yeah, I want to like also like work with him. So that was cool. But by the time I got to the fourth one, I was just like, oh, actually, that's not my. I don't want to be like a career understudy. Like that's not my goal. And so I wasn't thrilled about the idea of being asked to do it again. And like literally, I was so grateful that I got to turn it down to be like, because I'm gonna go be on stage. Because remember, like that's what
I'm an actor, and that's what I'm gunning for. That's really great. I'm glad you had, even after all that work, had the wherewithal to decline it.
Jennifer, that's awesome that you like really court you courted the court. I was like, what's the word I'm looking for? Court.
Yeah.
Was that just the court that you were courting, or were there like other theater companies that you were like also doing that for?
I definitely back then was. I mean, I should still hustle the same, but I got a little
Right.
comfortable.
Sure.
But I definitely was like hustling just nonstop between that time, between like 2008 to 2000, I guess maybe 14 or 15. But specifically, I don't know if I courted anyone the way that I did with Court, just because I really, really, because of all the shows with August Wilson shows, and because because Congo Square was still doing a lot of work then. So like, because Congo Square is actually my very first professional audition. I think that was in like 2000, 2 years before or something. And I think after seeing the brother sister plays, I really wanted to work at Steppenwolf. Basically, what I'm trying to say is I was looking for a theater where I saw myself,
Yeah.
and I'm not a singer, so like I saw people who look like me at Black Ensemble, but I can't sing like that.
Hmm.
And so Court was one of the first theaters where I saw like Black excellence. So I was like, oh no, this is where I'm going to be. And so I think that was one of the reasons why I specifically was so adamant about trying to work there.
That's awesome. Going for a specific target like that is very wise early in your career.
And then, I mean, there's so many things that have come out of that insane understudy time. I mean, one, I became a teaching artist through
Mm-hmm.
Court. Like, it was the first time during that same, yeah, it was like I did Misanthrope, Tartuffe, Mountaintop, which is the next show. And then I think at the same time I was understudying the Mountaintop is when I was asked to be a teaching artist with Court for, at the time, we focused primarily on the August Wilson monologue competition. And I mean, I've been there since 2013. And like I'll say kids, and I have to remember I'm talking to certain people. Like, oh no, I don't mean like I did not birth them. I don't have any
Right.
children, but like those
Sure.
are like I've been at the same high school at Harper High School for 8 years now. Like I have relationships. Like I have like all these little like mentees and stuff like that. Being a teaching artist has been like just it's so clear that that's like in addition to acting that's like the other calling on my life. And like I can't even, and I felt so unequipped in the beginning. Like I
Mm-hmm.
never was gonna be a teacher. I didn't think like I had anything to offer, and like I can't like imagine, this is getting all so sentimental, but like I can't like imagine my life without my students.
Oh, that's precious. Girl, I was like 14 years I worked with young people, and I was good at it. I loved it, and I was totally fine separating myself. Only, because like
It's a lot.
it is. And when you build, and I worked with underrepresented youth. I've only done it a little bit here in Chicago, but so they're looking for somebody to latch onto, and if you're genuine with them and you build these real relationships, then the investment, everybody had my cell phone number, and so but then that does lead to a lot, and you're carrying a lot on their behalf and trying to help them, and so it wasn't. So, and it's funny because I just stumbled into it because I never wanted to work with young people, but I had come up in a program that was incredible and it helped shape my career, and then I was able to teach in that program, and it was so dear to me. I was like, but of course, but then opportunities, air quoted only because I never sought them. They came to me from that, and then I'm like, okay, those dollars sound nice. I'm headed to college, okay, and it just like snowball till my last job before leaving Michigan was director of education at a theater, which is so bizarre. And middle schoolers are my strength, but I also worked. I mean, high schoolers. That's why I was losing my breath.
I know. I was like, did you hear me? I took in a breath.
Nobody likes
middle schoolers.
Nobody likes middle schoolers.
No, and I am among them. Nor do I. High school is my strength. I was forced to work with middle schoolers, and then I created a program for the younger sect, and then I was forced to sub within that program, and I was like, "This is too much. Give me my high schoolers back, please."
Yeah, high schoolers all the way.
Yes.
I mean,
but yeah, it was a lot. But I did once I realized I was actually like doing it and like it, and they were liking it, and I'm like, oh, I guess this might be okay. And then the couple times I dipped my toes in Chicago, I was just like, yep, no more teaching or this stuff really. I do workshops here and there. I've done that, but I'm not about to be forging these relationships with these young people. I can't save it.
This will have to be off the record. I'm just probably going to be texting you later, but there might be a chance that there might be something that I have coming up.
So the next question is what?
I'm sorry, did my mic cut off? Can you know?
I was gonna ask you about Oedipus, but is that you were in the chorus there? Is that the only non-understudy at court?
And that was kind of recently.
Yeah, that was I have this thing where I'm not even trying to be funny. I've forgotten like when 2020 started.
Yeah.
Like I think my brain legit, like I got into it with one of my friends because I think I have convinced myself that 2019 went until February and 2020 didn't start till March. So that was, Oedipus was ended in December of 2019. Yeah. So that, yeah. That part was a little bit, or has been difficult, because I love my students, and I'm so glad that I'm a teaching artist at court, but it was difficult to know that I did definitely pay my dues, and then it still wasn't another 6 or 7 years until I actually was on the stage. All that being said, though, it was, I love that show and the cast and the process, and it was definitely worth the wait. Like, I'm so happy that I finally did get to be on the stage. But yeah, it for sure was hard having all of that time in between.
Yeah. It's significant because it's one of the things that is sort of taught, whether like culturally in our field, is that is a way to pay your dues, and it could / should lead to XYZ, and so it kind of creates an expectation. Although there's never been a concrete certainty about that approach. We just have this idea about what it means to pay our dues, and that could be understudy, and that could be working at the box office or house managing or cleaning the bathrooms. Like, we have unnecessary reasons to believe that making ourselves present and putting in showing our dedication is going to lead to something. And when it doesn't, if you have that notion or you've been told that and then it doesn't, that can't be anything but difficult to navigate and manage for yourself as an artist. And it's like, I put all this out. What there got to be a reward for this,
right?
You know, like
it's not like I walked in and was like, cast me.
Right, you know.
Well, I mean, it seems like you've been able to kind of jump from like theater company to theater company, and kind of find yourself in these little homes, like The Gift or. I guess The Gift mostly, because
well,
like,
I mean,
how did that all happen?
So I'm an ensemble member at The Gift and have been since 2018, I think. That, I mean, the kind of what Elana was just saying about, you think that it's gonna, pay off. That experience was like, I went to school at Steppenwolf in 2010, and like there's a bunch of us in that class that are now ensemble members. And so in 2010, I met all of these people. I met Michael Patrick Thornton. I met basically all of my core friends. We met at school. That was my first introduction to Gift, and I would come see shows. And actually, and this, like, I could just say this because he knows this. So MJ and I have this joke that one of our first shows when we went to go see the show at Gift, we come outside and we have, or in the lobby, we have all of our like the posters or old shows. And I remember there was a poster of a show called White People, and me and MJ were like, I really love The Gift. We will probably never work here because it's just so white. But I love them, and I'm gonna come to Jefferson Park to support them. And so it's just hilarious that now, 10 years later, she's the casting director and associate artistic director, and I'm ensemble member. But so I've always loved The Gift, and I got an opportunity to understudy in 2016 on the show A Life Extraordinary. That was another situation where I knew in my contract I was going on for 2 tracks. I was covering the lead, and I was covering a supporting role, and it was like back to back. Like I think the first week was the supporting role, and the second week was like the lead. And this show, it basically, I think it's okay to describe it this way. It basically was like the Lacey Peterson story, like the woman who gets murdered and found in the lake. It was that, and it was this insane, like such a brilliant show, an amazing cast. It was all ensemble except for one person. So it was my first time getting to see like The Gift work as an ensemble. But the tech of that show, and with The Gift, we're just the small theater, but directors come in and find amazing ways to pull things out of ceilings and the floor and the side of the wall. And this show was so tech heavy. The stage manager, Sarah Luce, like she was so amazing. She literally, for the week that I had to go on for the lead, she gave me my own tech. Like I literally had my own personal tech because I was watching and I was at every single rehearsal and every single show, but like it's still, you have to like experience it. I understudied in 2016 and then started getting in the mix of like auditioning and like getting called back to shows. And then I got, not even finally, because it was only like a year and a half. Then I got cast in Hangman in 2018. At the end of that season, I was asked to be an ensemble member. And Gift was not on my radar. Like, not on my radar for like I wasn't courting Gift.
Right.
And so just all the things that have come out of that experience and like finding my home there, it really, and this isn't like to any slight to Court, but it was just like that home that I was looking for and like fighting for so strongly with Court. I found it in Gift.
That's really awesome. So you probably so far have, well, I don't know, it's a contender with MJ. I guess she understudied a lot in her early Chicago days, but so you've the greatest amount of experience, and I know we're not touching on every show. So I'm interested in what you think, and as a person who has gone through certain conservatory, the school, the Steppenwolf and Act One, etc. there's like, so you have like your collection of education, and then you have this understudy experience, and then clearly, your experience as principals. Are there any tools, any processes, any thoughts that you feel like you can actually attribute to your understudy experience that you apply otherwise?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and MJoy actually, she's the one that like helped me figure out how to even navigate the 6-track understudy situation. I mean, the preparation that goes into it, I don't think I would prepare the same way had I not had to gone through all of the experiences with understudying. Like when it comes to memorization, like I can basically memorize anything now because like it was just drilled into me. So I think preparation, and it just really has made me appreciate the work that we do, because basically like the example I have in my head, I actually don't. I mean, I'm not gonna name it, but I don't remember exactly which show. But I was understudying something, and someone was gonna go on, and they were like, "Well, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do that, and like, cause this is gonna be about me." And I remember being like, "I'm sorry, do you? That is not what our role is. Our role is to maintain the like integrity of the show. This is not your time. You are supposed to be serving this ensemble. Like this, if you go on and you make choices that are opposite from what the principal is doing, you're doing a disservice to the show." And so, all that to say, I feel like it really helped me appreciate the process of working with the group.
That's awesome. Have you experienced any true clarification about what was expected of you in terms of sticking with exactly what Scott likes to call them overstudies, by the way?
I heard that when I listened to MJoy's, I was like, is that an actual term? That is
it's about to be.
Yeah, right.
Has it been drilled into you by directors or stage managers or producers that like you need to do what they do, or have you been given some agency in how you build these characters or serve the ensemble?
It definitely I think it's theater to theater. I think it depends. Like at court, and then also because I understudied. I think that was the last time I understudied. I understudied the MLK project at Writers, when like it's that one woman show where you're like 1,500 characters from the civil rights movement. And so that was like, I'm not, whatever Ashley is doing, that's what I'm gonna do. I ain't got time to try to bring myself into this. Like,
right.
How did she do this? And so like that's a show where it almost wasn't even up for discussion. Clearly, to survive, I'm going to do exactly what the principal actor did. And then at court, it was like a little more formal too, where it's just like, yes, like you do this, whatever they did, do this. But at Gift, I like the story I always remember is and also like different theaters have different expectations, and I don't think there's a right or wrong necessarily. Like at court, it definitely is like, if they're having a table read, you're not supposed to jump up in that table. Like you go find a seat in the back and like just like don't make too much noise. And they're like, fine, whatever. I guess I said there wasn't a right or way, but clearly I must have an opinion. But so at Gift, I go in the first day and I'm trying to just like blend into the background. And granted, like there was a bunch of my friends in the show, but like so they kind of wouldn't let me. But I remember this moment where I was understudying Sid Blakewell, and Sid and our director John Golick, they were talking about the lead role who I was understudying, and they're talking, and then Golick goes, "So what do you think, Jen?" And I literally was like, "Jen, oh yeah, yes." So I think it depends on the theater, because and also with that show, he was also very clear about like, yes, obviously, like I want you to keep, he was like, don't go like just exit if Sid wasn't exiting.
That's a good note. I'm glad he told you that.
But he definitely did give me that opportunity to be like, no, just take this, like make this your own. And that was another kind of like the way I mentioned Grace Byers and just how great she was with helping me through the process at court. Sid was also like just went above and beyond, because again, like the woman she's talking the whole time, like the entire time. There's like 6,500 lines. And Sid was really great at just being there and just saying like, yeah, like this is what I'm doing, but like put your own spin on it. I think that was very specific just because of that role, and I think maybe even also because of Gift. Kind of going back to what I was saying, that maybe there isn't a right or wrong way. I think it depends on what's going to serve the show best.
Yeah, for sure. I was just curious what your experience with that had been. You could never know
Yeah.
what's what, and I think most people's instinct is to do what's being done.
Yeah.
And they may not even explore if they have anything, but there's parts of us as artists that would, just inherently contribute to how we story tell.
Yeah.
And we can be telling the same story but have our nuances. And so I know some places are like, fuck your nuance.
Right. That is not what it says in the contract. So.
Right. So it's always interesting to hear people's approach / experiences.
Yeah. And I think too that also I just know there've been shows where it's like and not even in like, oh, I'm gonna do this better than her, but just like where, and this may have happened towards the end of me understudying, was like, okay, I need to pause this now, where, because that artistic part wasn't being fed. I mean, it's not, it really, being an understudy isn't that artistic like part of you really doesn't get fed, because you're there, like you learn these lines, you learn this blocking, you like don't mess anything up. And so even though there were definitely shows and times and where I wish I had more, but where I had a process, and where I wish I could, put my own spin on things, but that, that it just wasn't going to serve the show. But it still was a hard sacrifice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man.
All right, this is The Hustle, where we talk about how we make a living as artists. Obviously, we're kind of talking more pre-pandemic because obviously pandemic. But what jobs have been keeping you afloat over the course of your career?
Primarily, I'm like a classic server / actor. Mm-hmm. There's definitely, I worked at Starbucks for like 4 or 5 years. I can't remember. But I was a barista. I worked at an acting studio in Chicago for like 4 years. And this was kind of earlier. This is all kind of pre-2010 or something, I think.
Mm-hmm. And was that like admin?
That was admin, yeah.
Okay.
Toward the end, because I was there, I think I was there from like 2010 to 2014 or something. And that towards the end, I got to start teaching a little bit, but it was primarily admin. But outside of Starbucks, acting studio, everything has been serving. I'm not like a fine dining girl. I'm definitely a sports bar type of server. So I've worked at a bunch of different sports bars and stuff in the city.
Is there any one job in particular that you'd be like, hey, if you're a student coming out of school, this job is actually awesome if you want to be an actor?
I mean, well, before the pandemic, I would just say, just go serve. Like my little sister is, which is insane. My little sister is about to graduate. I'm gonna be a stage mom real quick. So my little sister is graduating from the Guthrie program. I know you have to like lower your voice like that.
With the Guthrie in Minneapolis?
Uh-huh.
Ooh, okay.
But she's about to graduate with a degree in theater, and I before the pandemic I was working. I normally just stay at serving jobs like 3 months, and then I go to like a new show or whatever.
Oh, sure.
But I have been at Cafe Sainte Marie in Lincoln Square for I think almost a year and a half, which is the longest I ever had stayed at one like side hustle. So yeah, normally I would say go be a server. Now I don't know how to answer that post pandemic, but I feel like serving is always like that's been, because it's so flexible and it usually doesn't interfere with auditions and rehearsal and stuff. And now.
And Cafe Sainte Marie is mostly a brunch and breakfast, right?
No, well, that's what people think. I thought that before I started working there. They're open all day long. Like they have amazing dinner, like
Oh.
insane, like it delicious. Like I have dreams about their.
Awesome. All right.
I'm going to ask you, Jen,
Yeah.
what's something you would definitely never understudy? You know, role or play? Like you would just be like, no.
I feel like the last show I did, Oedipus, like the process for us as actors, it was insane. We told our understudies like because they had this and they were amazing and they had a what do you call it, like a producer's run.
Mm-hmm.
I would never want to understudy that show because there were times in it I didn't know what I was doing. So to not have a process for that, that is that's the first thing that pops into my mind. Like, just I think I might turn that down. I just don't.
Is that because it was kind of like a physical?
It's so physical. Like I look like before the pandemic, I looked real good. Like
Shame.
because it was such a physical show. It's such a we like were creating. So it was very movement based. And it just it was so physical. So much of us like creating the majority of the work and like Charlie is very much like let's just see what happens. I'm like,
I love that.
Okay.
I love when movement is used in that way.
I
That
love
is
it
one
now.
Oh God, that's one of the most fulfilling processes for me.
Yeah.
It has on two occasions made me do a play whose script made me be like, get this garbage out of my face. Like, who wrote this? You know, and then like getting it like the one of them, all of that kind of stuff happened in the callback. And I only went to the audition for this what seemed like a stupid play because the director had seen me in a 1-minute play festival. And I was like, if you saw I was on stage for 4 minutes. And so if he wanted to call me in for that, I'm fucking going. You know, like that was nice. And then I get this call back and I was like, oh no, what? You know, am I gonna be doing this play? Like but the callback had so much like it I didn't even remember how much I loved physical storytelling in that way. Like, I don't even know if I knew how much I loved it. You know, I knew I loved movement and I know I loved movement and storytelling, but actually doing it, it hadn't really clicked.
Yeah.
But that callback made me like, oh no, you know, so then I got cast and we built the hell out of that. Like, we were like a tornado and it wasn't like cheesy.
Yeah.
Like, it was, you know, we ended up, representing like a Katrina, you know, and so but we did all of that with our bodies and even the aftermath and like it was just really incredible.
Yeah.
It's not supposed to be about me. It's about you.
No.
I'm sorry.
No.
I went.
Alana, remember, I forget if this was before we started recording or not, but I don't remember a time before you. So it's always about you.
You are precious. Now it's time for a break.
Awesome. We'll have more with Jennifer Glasse after this break. And we're back with Jennifer Glasse.
What it's time for is the breakdown. So in the breakdown, we pose a question of the week and we break it down. Okay. And so for you this week, my dear, our question is, what was your aha moment that let you know that this is what you were about to do?
As far as understanding or acting?
Acting. Becoming an actor for real.
Like for real, not I was 14 and I read Raisin in the Sun and I knew, not that moment.
Well, was that the moment you knew?
I mean, I feel like there are two different moments. So I shouldn't even make fun of that because it is two. So there's the aha moment is, like my little story is that when I was 14, I read A Raisin in the Sun and I was just like, this is my family. Like I know, like I grew up on the west side of Chicago and like I knew everything that was happening in the Younger family. Like the mama, that was my grandma. Ruth was my mother. I saw myself as Beneath. And that was when I was like, well, this is what I'm doing. And I mean, I haven't, that's since 14, that is where I kept going. But then I think there's also the second moment, probably later, when, like when I wasn't working and booking and didn't like everything, like this all seemed insane. I can't figure out the specific moment. I just know it involves Viola Davis. But don't, Alana, Elise, see if people, because this is only audio, so they can't see.
That's right, they can't.
Alana knows that when I'm in a show and at my dressing room table, there is always an 8x10 of my viola because she is my everything. And Alana may have been at tables near me. Actually, no, you were on the other side because you should have been on the other side.
I was on the other side. Here's the thing that happened.
Oh, no.
This woman had a picture of Jesus, you know, the white one, as we've all met him. And so
was that lady white as well?
yes.
Yes.
And so I just casually asked Jennifer where her picture of Black Jesus was, and she pointed to Viola Davis. And I have never been the same ever since. Like, she did not say a word. She just pointed, and I've been changed. I've been changed since that moment.
And it was such a spur. I wasn't even it just took. I wasn't even planning on.
I mean, how could you be? You didn't know you would be asked that question, you know? There was zero preparation. I wasn't ready for it. No. And it was just like that, Scott. Just you know, it came out duh, right there. Clearly, you know, oh, it's so great.
It's hilarious.
Oh,
I love it.
Did you say why Viola Davis yet?
I think it actually, I didn't realize so much of this was going to come back to the court understudying part of my life, but I think it actually was there. I think I got at some point, just because it was a lot understudying all of that, and then my brain started spiraling. I was just like, will I ever be on stage? And I think the more I started to learn about, because I've known who Viola was since King Hedley days, but I didn't then at that point, then she had been working for 25 years. She's not an overnight sensation. I have a pet peeve when people are like, oh yeah, and then her career took, no, she put in work. And I think it was somewhere around there, either watching an interview that she did about, just talking about all the work and talking about the time and just remembering all of the work that Viola put in. And I think the aha moment is a little bit connected to, it comes back to teaching again, I think too, because I think from my students asking me how do I do this and what do we do and all that, I think just remembering who I'm fighting for and why I'm doing it. And it comes back to having, I want to serve as an example to the youth and all that. But yeah, my second aha moment is a combo of Viola Davis's existence and
So you had that aha moment before you were even born. It was out here waiting for you.
I love that.
Yes,
that's so true about there being two aha moments. I hadn't really thought about it, but there's the one where you're sparked into acting, which for me would be when I saw Silence of the Lambs on network television.
Okay.
I was 7 or 8 years old.
You saw that when you were 7 or 8? I don't like scary movies. So
it was on CBS. I had probably never watched a scary movie before, but everything about Anthony Hopkins in that movie just blew me away. I was just like, oh, you can be that intense. You can be that scary. You can be that funny. Everything about that blew me away. So then I started acting. But yeah, the second time, the time that was oh, this is a job that I can do, or not even I can do. I didn't know I could do it, but it was just this is a job that I have to do. Which was when I saw Rent um, the live on Broadway that they recorded and then they showed in theaters.
Hmm.
So I mean, like, I feel so basic saying Rent, but like,
I love Rent.
it's I mean it's great. It has issues, but it's great. And like, it's just so much feeling and so much emotion, and the way the music all comes together and the story. I had been reading a book called A Jesuit Off Broadway by James Martin. He's a priest. And he was actually the like religious advisor on the first production of The Last Days of Judas Iscariot by Stephen Adler Gurgis. So this book has like conversations with Sam Rockwell and Philip Seymour Hoffman, and it was very interesting because I'd been raised Catholic, but had moved away from religion in general. So to read a book by a Jesuit priest and have it connect so much to theater and why we do theater,
Yeah.
and then to see Rent and be surrounded by Rent heads, and it was just a moment of like, oh my God, I'm in the right place for my life. And every moment is a moment to recommit to the job. But that was really a like, okay, there's a broader purpose here.
Yeah.
Again, not a religious guy, but like, you can sense it when it's there.
Yeah.
So that was my number one and number two aha moment. What about you, Elana?
My aha moment, which I I'm such an awkward being because so I was earlier reading some stuff about representation, and I didn't suffer from feeling like I didn't see myself, right? And the shows that were on when I watched TV, there were plenty of Black shows on. I was aware of it, but I also think about like other things that I've been interested in. It didn't take seeing people that look like me to make me feel like I could do it, right? I don't know, I guess probably I can credit my dad with some of this, but like anything I wanted to do, I could do it. It didn't matter if somebody, like I wasn't taught to make that particular connection, right? Like you can't be it if you can't see it. But so that idea, coupled with my aha moment coming from inside of me, is what makes me feel awkward, right? Because I'm always like kind of like over in the corner looking at people like I'm not normal, right? Like my experience, the way I navigate the world is so different from so many. So I've been acting since I was 7, but in high school, they kept trying to make me start at the beginning of acting 1, and I was like, no. I've done that for like this whole, before I got here, I did acting 1 and 2, like please, drama 3 was the drama club. Then in 11th grade, I went and found out that all I had to do was sign up all along. All I had to do was sign up for drama club. So it was like the department head who had been giving me all this shit. So I finally got to do some sort of theater in my actual high school. And even though I had been doing it, like once I started at 7, I just didn't stop. I just didn't think about doing it as a career necessarily. And so I get to do forensics, which, oh my gosh, like had I not, like no fair, I didn't get to do forensics my entire high school career, right? Like I was bummed, but so excited. And I did poetry and terp with Langston Hughes, who I have been hooked on since I was 5, right? So
You've been hooked on Langston Hughes since you were 5?
Oh my God, yes, absolutely. So the minute that it was like poetry, I was like, Langston Hughes, please, like they were like, okay. I'm like, okay, great. I even wrote on Langston Hughes like in college, like when I'm supposed to be over that. Kind of, there are other people, but there are other people I had learned about.
But you don't have to be over him. I'll never be over Lorraine Hansberry, so.
And I'm not, so I'm doing it, and I'm like killing it, right? Like I'm going through this competition, I'm killing it because it's me and Lexi. He was like, you can't beat me, right? So I'm in like the semifinals. I will just say, no, I did not make it to the finals. But the semifinals was a big deal. We were at Eastern Michigan University, and I got my period, and so I had cramps really, really bad as a teenager. I am 16. Really bad cramps, like cramps that I would usually stay home about and take 800 milligrams of ibuprofen. So this occurs while we're at Eastern Michigan University, and I gotta do the thing. So I'm sitting outside the classroom. The jurors were in one of the classrooms, and I am doubled over. I am miserable. I have no painkillers. My coach is there with me. She's just like, I'm doubled over. It's my turn. I walk in doubled over. Like, I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm just about, like what I know is that I'm here to do this thing and I'm probably going to do it, So I walk in, like literally folded over, walk to my spot.
Wait, okay, wait. Folded over like your butt is up as you are walking in the room?
I am telling you.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's what that type of cramp
it is.
God.
It feels like a Mack truck is going over your uterus.
It is the worst.
I have no interest in being a woman.
Good for you. Congratulations on that not being a thing. So yeah, I walk in that way into this panel of 3 people who are about to judge me on my poetry performance. And I stand up, I take a deep breath, and I start. And I go and I do my thing and I walk out the classroom upright and I don't feel another cramp until I hit the other side of the door. And so what occurs to me is that I just did the thing without a cramp, without the memory of having a cramp, but my cramps weren't gone. Mm-hmm. Right. And so for me, the aha wasn't necessarily about career, but it was when I started, like stopping people from calling me aspiring. Right? I was like, no, what I learned about myself
right.
is that I'm an actor.
Yeah.
And like that's the thing. Like that thing I did, like I didn't know I was capable of that. And that's the thing. And so I will act, I'm just gonna keep doing it. Yeah. But so it was a thing that let me know that it was a thing that I could perfect and be good at.
Mm-hmm. That's a powerful story, Elana. Like, I mean, that's the end of the movie. That's all the stakes are against her. Everything's on the line. And she walks in doubled over.
You are ridiculous. My appreciation, second aha, purpose in life moment was really United Flight 232. And I had done some, true story stuff, some adaptations of real, I had done some stuff. But being able, the process, the people, Vanessa Stalling, Lawrence, who wrote the book, who does this survival stuff, what that ended up meaning for everyone involved and what the gift that it was to be able to tell these survivor stories was unlike anything I ever even imagined doing. And it was a collaborative process, yes, and I had been in those before, but the feeling, there's nowhere else. It's like people talk about the runner's high, you don't understand that unless you get that, right? So that, to have a life that allowed me to do that, whatever it meant, whatever that it meant about the life up to that moment, everything just still kind of led to it regardless.
Yeah.
And, to know that I, turned down something that made me be available for that.
Yep.
And then I got to meet, it took 3 productions of it, but I got to meet every person that I portrayed. And I portrayed 2 men who gave me their stamp of approval, and one of them, because he was such a badass, he was on the flight, the other man was in the tower. To get an approval from him was you can't tell me shit. Literally no one can tell me shit. But everything about that process, that project, that show, I will do that. I will stop doing whatever it is. I would do United Flight 232 until it can't be done anymore. Yeah. It just really it just leveled me up about the privilege of storytelling. And, so grateful for, again, like I said, having a life that allowed that there was room, that could make that I could be part of that. Whew, that, totes worth whatever came before it, it's just so worth it. But that is, I guess that's kind of aha, right? That fits.
I mean, that beautiful, eloquent story, yeah. That's aha. Yeah, that's aha.
cannot.
You asked me to be.
I know, right? Like, I did this. Okay. It's fine. It's fine. I'm so happy you're here.
Oh, boy. Cool. Any other thoughts on aha moments?
Well, I was thinking about, because I'm glad we haven't spent hardly any time talking about the pandemic, but because of that, I have some friends who, like, know some people who have been like, yeah, this time with us, with everything being shut down, it showed me that maybe I'm interested in other things, or maybe blah, blah, blah. And that's really good. For me, like, it has, it has showed, like, I can't do anything else. Like, just kind of thinking about, not even thinking about my own aha moments, but just thinking about Elana's future one woman show story. That it's just like, that's all I want to do. Like, and I think there's a lot of things that I'm not gonna that I know that I took for granted before a pandemic, like complaining about, like, oh, I have to go all the way over here for this audition, or I have to do this, or I have to blah blah blah. Like, I'm not gonna take that for granted, and I feel like the pandemic has just just solidified that yeah, there's nothing else I want to do or I'm supposed to be doing outside of teaching artists and acting.
Yeah.
Aha.
Ooh, aha. All right. Now we're going to go to props. And in props, we like to give shouts out to other actors who have understudied us, or who we have understudied, or who were an understudy and they killed it, or stage managers, assistant directors, anybody who helped us become the understudy experts that we all are. Jennifer, who would you like to give some props to?
I think it has to be the gift, like my artistic home. One, like Sarah Lou, so I mentioned before, like giving me my own tech, but the whole ensemble, like just welcoming me in and making me feel at home, and the fact that I don't know, there's no hierarchy. Like, so like when I was a guest artist, it wasn't like I was on not a guest art. When I was an understudy, I wasn't on the outside, and then when I was a guest artist, I wasn't on the outside. And so because of that, it's like a full circle thing. So especially like because I've understudied so much, I'm always like, whenever I find the person who is understudying me, I'm like, what do you need? What do you want? What can I do to help you? Because you're about to do some crazy stuff. But I think the gifts like are just the way we all lead by example. So, there's no hierarchy if the show is primarily ensemble members. You guest artists, you are right in here, and you understudy, you're right in here. So I think I have to give props to the gift, because honestly, like I've said this before, and I said it a lot when I first became an ensemble member, but that particular experience working, like understudying a Life Extraordinary, it changed who I was as an actor and a person too.
Oh. Big ups. Big ups. Gift. You're doing big things inside people.
And let me call Mike so that can be our new slogan.
Right.
The gift. Doing things inside people.
Doing big things inside people.
Oh my goodness.
Oh.
That's great. Is there a dream role that you like still have yet to play, or anything like that?
Okay, it's twofold, and one of them involves Viola Davis. Elana, don't defer my dream, Elana.
I would never. I'm about to
Did you
listen
like
for
that,
how
though?
I can help.
Did you like that? How I gave? Okay.
Yes.
How I gave you likes and hues?
I get it.
Okay. So one dream role is I still haven't played. I would still love to be either Beneatha or Ruth, probably at this point now, in A Raise in the Sun. And I think the second dream role would just be anything that involves me sharing a stage with Viola Davis.
Okay. That's fair.
Mm-hmm.
Just being where she is.
That's all.
Yeah.
That's all.
I love that.
Like, where you gonna be, Viola? Okay, that's where I'll be.
Okay. I can dig that.
Your voice got so soft a lot.
I was just giving my support.
Mhm.
You know? I didn't want you to feel like I was trying to defer.
Mhm.
I mean, and I'm trying to refrain from like saying lines from various Langston Hughes poems that were appropriate. So that's also a thing I was.
I mean, I would welcome
suppressing.
that.
Yeah,
I would
why are you
welcome
holding that back?
Right.
No.
I mean, if you can recall your.
Oh God,
Yeah.
she's like, it's like you could see it like trying to come out of her mouth,
Oh yeah,
but she's just
yeah.
pushing it down.
Yeah.
I am. I'm not going to do it.
We're, I mean, this is a safe space.
Oh, thank you.
This is like it's a mantra I have to tell my students. This is a judgment-free zone. So.
I'm not doing it.
What is going on in your life in general? Are you working on any projects right now, or are you just finding ways to stay sane in all this?
Yeah, I was literally about to say I'm just finding ways to stay sane.
That's all you can ask for.
Yes, I'm still teaching, which God bless real like CPS teachers, because this whole Zoom, not even Zoom, Google Classroom, which I hope that's not your sponsor because they are the worst.
well, they won't be now.
But teaching like this virtual, I think, and I'm probably just teaching theater in particular. Like, no disrespect to like the math teacher, but I feel like you can probably teach math on Zoom. Teaching theater on Zoom has like, it's almost like I've had to reconstruct everything I ever knew about teaching.
Yep.
But all that it's still though being able to create things for my students and work with them, like that's keeping me sane. I'm taking an on-camera class at Vagabond, and that has been really, really amazing.
Who's your teacher?
Robin Kaufman.
I love Robin Kaufman. She's amazing.
So much. Everybody loves her. And it just like it really, that class has helped a lot. And that's the thing where having to do it on Zoom since it's on camera, that works.
Yeah.
Yeah, just those two things. I had a phase where I was like, I'm going to read plays and I'm going to watch things, but then it made me sad. But now I think I'm back to the spot where I think I can try to start, maybe not necessarily reading, but at least trying to find good performances of theater to heal my little soul. So.
Bless your heart.
Bless it.
Girl, you gotta get you some Lego, yarn, and needle or hook, depending on if you want to knit or crochet, and then and jigsaw puzzle. So these three things, my friend.
You named all the things I don't like.
Oh.
I like Lego. I haven't played with Lego since I was a kid, when there used to be in like the red bucket.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say I don't. Well, I don't. Yeah, I don't like puzzles. I just have never been a puzzle girl. But the like sewing and things, I'm not.
Yeah, you should not do that. I take that back as a suggestion. That looks
Can we tell people that it looks like I'm trying to do a bad job of like double dutching with spoons?
It's not the best object work I've ever seen. I'll just be honest with you.
I don't know how to do that. But I used to cross stitch with my mom when I was really little, and I thought about taking that up again.
Okay, cross stitch. Yeah, you should do that.
Okay.
I mean, because it might be a while before your soul can really be fed as you need it. So you gotta find snacks for your soul, Jen.
Ooh. Okay. All right, snacks for my soul.
I mean, that's on me. I said it.
So from now on, I'll be like,
beautiful.
what does my soul need? What kind of snacks does my soul want?
I need some soul hummus and some soul potato chips.
No, but I like that a lot. I'm crying tears again.
Okay.
I do need snacks for my soul. Well, I feel like the one thing that we didn't really talk about, which isn't understudy related, but it is like part of my soul, is my love for food. And
let's go.
Yeah.
So Scott, there's this cake that I make in particular, called the cake. I make it whenever I'm in a show. Like now it's kind of taking on a life of its own because like, especially with gift, I made it for one of my friends, Brittany, for her birthday, she always has this big birthday party at the Arlington racetrack. Or actually, no, it was for her birthday, but I made her wedding cake.
I was about to say,
Yeah.
yeah, that's what I had.
Yes, I had to make her, but the trial run was at the birthday, and I made, so for the, like, it's not like a fancy, pretty, delicate, it's this like triple dark chocolate fudge layer cake. And so like you can't stack it because it's too soft, it'll all like fall apart. So I had to make like this gigantic 16-inch cake, which I didn't even know it was possible to make a cake that big. But that cake, and then the like a 12 or 14, like basically the layers was separated them all. So I make this cake, and then I also love to eat, and I love to like I call myself a food enthusiast. I'm not a foodie because foodies talk about what's wrong with food. I only want to talk about what's great about the food. And so what I used to do before pandemic, when me and my friends would go out to eat, I would record them eating, and I would ask them how do they feel about the food. And like it's always something like, you know, this like sandwich feels like a warm hug, or this ice cream feels like my childhood. So I have thought about finally, because I have all the footage from all those videos, of like maybe putting together like an IG channel type of thing to do that part. The reason why I say no about baking the cakes is because I just don't have one. This cake takes forever to make it, and I don't have like, I'm gonna need somebody to supply me with like a for real kitchen. But if like anything was possible, then yes, the baking and the like whatever you want to call it, the food commentary, I would love for that to be a source of income.
Yeah. So. Okay, we're gonna work on that.
Okay.
Elana, what's up with you?
Oh, me again. Okay. I'm not going to say the company because I don't want to promote them, but I ended up with some wild caught salmon.
Oh.
And let me tell you something. Okay, like first of all, like I like salmon. I will buy it, you know. I'll buy it from Aldi if that's where I am at the time, and you know, frozen in a bag. I might get some from the seafood place at a grocer. You know, I know what's good and what's not. But like coffee, I know what high end quality coffee is. But I will also drink. I mean, my in-house coffee is Folgers, though I do have the one that comes in beans, right? So I'm not a coffee snob.
Wait,
but I
Folger
know
has
quality.
beans now?
Girl, that 1850 again. I'm not doing no ad, but let me tell you something.
But you just did a whole.
Like I love it so much. Okay, but like so the salmon. I'm talking about salmon.
Salmon, yes.
So first of all, it was pinker than anything I've ever seen in my life. Like that I didn't get at a restaurant or saw before it was cooked, and I put it in my foodie because I won that at work. So I just roasted it in there.
Wait, what's a foodie?
It's a thing, girl. Air fryer grill. Like I don't know why it exists, but I got it for free at the work. Okay. And it's Ninja brand. And I put this amazing looking, like it was frozen. And even while it was frozen, I was like, this is amazing. Right. And then it thawed. And I was like, is this real? And I pulled out like a piece from my previous pack that I got from a regular grocer. And I was like, is this even the same meat? Is this salmon? I don't know anymore. It's not like this, right? And
Elana, you have to be on my show.
When I ate it. Girl, I ate it. I cooked it so perfect. I cooked it the way Gordon Ramsay's salmon be looking. Because I don't know, right? Because it's hard to cook salmon because you don't want that shit undercooked.
Right.
So you gotta, you know. But like I cooked it to like pure perfection. And then like, and now I want to have it forever. I still have plenty because it's just me. But y'all, I hate that it's this because the place I got it from, like I don't want to invest in that because I can eat frozen salmon from the store. But then it's like, how much life I got left, right? And how much of it should I be spending eating less than amazing salmon?
See, you know the salmon is good when you're contemplating like your life expectancy.
It's so true. You know, because like you would be like, I don't need to spend all that on there. It's like, but like, you know, but like, no. Shouldn't you, you know?
Elana, I want to say like completely on record for the world to hear that I apologize for the fact that you weren't ever on my Insta stories talking about food. And and I am begging you that when it's safe even like, and we could decide like, whatever people's levels of like safety are. Like, if I could come over and you prepare this salmon and I record it, because the world, like, they heard it, but they need to be able to see what I just saw on this.
We can work something out. Okay.
Also, didn't you once? This is probably a while ago, but I don't remember a lot of things anymore. But I remember food. Didn't you once put up a picture? You made like some what is it called? Eggs Benedict.
Oh yes, that is
Because
absolutely one of my specialties.
I feel like, so I'm not a big Eggs Benedict fan, but the one on your Instagram looked amazing, and I've had like a crab, I think from Batter and Berries, like a crab Eggs Benedict. I feel like you need to somehow incorporate this salmon into that Eggs Benedict and get your whole entire life.
I have done that before this amazing salmon, and I have made it with crab as well. In fact, I almost now exclusively make it with crab, to be honest.
If I could just real quick, just to paint a picture, I want the audience to know that it looks like Elana is accepting like the Nobel Peace Prize.
Listen, I am just trying to respond about the Eggs Benedict. And this said, but now that you've said it, maybe I'm gonna do it tomorrow.
Yeah.
Because they're so. Oh God. Okay. I had some yesterday.
That's okay. That's good. What's in it? Some. There's nutrient in fish. What is that called?
Omega-3.
Yeah. So
salmon is one of the healthiest things, proteins you can absolutely eat. I could eat it every day and be good. I mean. I'm not, because I need this to last me a while. I don't know when I'm ever going to get... And then it's the other thing. It's like, I'm sure I can find this level of quality salmon, like, in life outside of this place I got it. But, like, that sounds like work. And what I'm going to do, take a piece, like, does your salmon look like this? This is what I need. Like, I don't really know.
I wonder if the place you're talking about... You have to tell me after. I wonder if the place you're talking about is the same place I got some frozen tilapia from, because it was the same thing where I was like, I think it was like Alaskan or wild or wherever they do to it, and I have never in my life seen the same thing. Like I've never seen pink tilapia. Like I've only seen it white. Like, so, and I don't even.
It's crazy, right? Because like when you see a real piece of tilapia. You're like,
I was like, what have I been eating?
Right, like, because when you've been eating, you always need two. If you're going to make a meal, you
just need one. I mean, I had to, and I was like, "Ooh, can I finish this?"
Right.
I have not. We'll have to talk off the record if we went to the same place, because I feel some type of way, possibly, if we're talking about the same place. But I may also have to risk it for this tilapia.
Right. It's like, how can I organize my budget? Like I'm good at budgeting. I'm real good at it. I could work this out.
Yes.
Well, we gonna see. Scott, what's new with you? How's your week?
It's been good. I did this thing with my best friends. It's called a Sweded film, where you remake a movie that exists, but you do it like really low budget. So we did this with Ferris Bueller's Day Off. I played Principal Rooney, and the Bueller, that guy, Stein, Ben Stein. And then the girls, they played Ferris, all the teenage characters, and they went downtown. Like they went to the art museum, and they went to Wrigley Field, and they went everywhere, and we cut it all together. And I forgot about it. But it turns out we won. We won this festival.
That's so awesome.
Congratulations.
Yeah. So that was fun. We celebrated that yesterday. I started teaching classes again. I don't know. The only other thing is I watched two movies that I'd never seen before. One was Running Scared with Billy Crystal and Gregory Hines. It's from like 1985 or something. Set in Chicago. And like they are all over Chicago, and it's like I just love watching movies with Chicago in it. So that was a nice surprise. Like the whole ending of the movie takes place in the Thompson Center.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, with all the elevators and the glass. So that was a lot of fun. And then the other movie I watched was One Night in Miami.
Oh shoot! I still
did
need to
you?
watch that.
Yeah, yeah.
need to too.
I liked it. I think it could have been probably half an hour shorter, but I liked it. I think also. uh, I think it was also one of those things where it's like, you go into a movie about like a biopic or any movie with like characters that and it took me a while to get that out of my head. For Muhammad Ali or Malcolm X. I mean, literally, I think I realized before this, like when the movie started, I was like, I don't know anything about Malcolm X. That's fucking ridiculous. Well, I mean, granted, I went to like white Catholic schools through college or through high school, so like I didn't. God, I don't think I knew of Malcolm X honestly until at least college, and any other time that we mentioned Malcolm X, it was like, Malcolm X, like he's
the violent one.
He's the dark side of Martin Luther King, and so like I'm just at a point where I'm like, okay, wait, I need to deprogram all that shit, and
no better time than Black History Month.
Exactly.
It won't be Black History Month when this is airing.
Sorry.
Hey, let's celebrate Black History anyway.
Right, I'm boycotting Black History Month.
Okay. But I found there's a audiobook of the autobiography of Malcolm X. There's an unabridged one that's read by Lawrence Fishburne, and then there's an abridged one that's read by that guy from Scandal, and he's in Terminator 2.
Oh my God, yeah, because his voice.
So anyway, I have some work to do, and then I'll probably watch that movie again.
Joe Morton.
Joe Morton, that's correct.
I think because his name is so just simple. I always think his name is something else.
Yeah.
And then that's why. Because his voice sounds like his name should be like Sir Thaddeus III.
Yes. I love
the third even.
Cool. Jennifer, we didn't really ask you like what advice you might have for up and coming actors, but what's like if you only had like one thing to say to an up and coming actor, what would it be?
I kind of feel like I'm doing this now because of my sister. Okay, so I'm gonna judge myself a little bit for saying this just because like it took me forever to actually believe this. But one of the things that like is drilled into you at school at Steppenwolf is the fact of you is enough. And I like literally, there's a story I tell that I'm like sitting in this circle with Mike and a bunch of people from Gift, and like Mike says like, this just comes down to the fact of you is enough. And me, this is like 10 years ago, and I was like, it's not enough in this whole thing. So what I would tell young actors is the fact of you is enough. Like that's what I tell my students, and because we're doing a lot of having them create their own work. One, because of this new obviously digital thing, but plus I just like hearing their voices versus me just teaching something at them. And they have it's hard for them sometimes. They have a struggle because they're like, well, what do you want me to say? I was like, I don't want whatever you want to say. Like, it's your voice. Like, your voice is important, and like the fact of you is enough, and whatever experiences you're bringing. So I think, especially because, I mean, when I was out of college, I wasn't naive, but I was very much like, I don't know what, I was just a mess. So, and I think if I could have at least believed that the fact of me was enough, and I didn't have to like morph or shape shift into anything else, I think that would have saved me a lot of pain and suffering.
That's awesome.
So,
I think that's a great place to leave it.
That is.
Thank you so much, Jennifer, for joining us on the podcast.
This is so fun.
Yeah. It was so good.
Honestly, I don't know if I've ever like we've just had a lot of laughing and joy, and it's been a good ep, so I appreciate it.
It was so fun. I don't want it to end. I'll be over tomorrow morning for the salmon Benedict stuff.
Yeah.
So.
We hope you enjoyed our conversation today with Jennifer Glasse and that it gives deeper insight into the art of understudying.
If you'd like to ask a question or give a suggestion of someone we should interview, you can send an email to understudypodcast@gmail.com.
Or hit us up at understudypod on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
We want to thank all of our Patreon subscribers, especially Marcella Huff and Stanley Sava. If you want to support the show, head over to our Patreon at patreon.com/understudypod.
Our theme song and all other music are by Laura McKenzie.
Thank you so much for listening. If you liked it, please hit subscribe on your podcast player of choice and tell your friends.
And if you hated it, please tell your enemies.
And their parents.
And their horrible parents.
Ah.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.